All right, welcome nurses to RN Mentor, where we provide reinforcement lectures and educational materials. Pwede pong tumulong para sa mga uh, aspiring nurses na nasa school or for people who are reviewing for their upcoming board exam or for those who are planning to take their NCLEX. So RN Mentor is here to help you. So in this video, mag-rationalize tayo ng questions so that you can practice your test taking and you can apply your current knowledge on various nursing topics. So in this video, ang topic natin is GI disorders. So let's dive in and tackle or answer some questions that has something to do with GI disorders para malaman nyo na rin kung if you are anong level ng knowledge ninyo sa GI disorders at para ma-practice ninyo yung pagtitake ng exam. Alright, let's begin. Number one, a nurse is caring for 4 clients with gastric ulcer. Which client is highest risk of developing gastrointestinal or GI bleeding? A, 30-year-old client with positive H. pylori test. B, 45-year-old client consuming 4 ounces of alcohol daily. C, 70-year-old client taking daily aspirin for coronary artery disease. And letter D, a 30-year-old pregnant client who uses acetaminophen as needed for headache. All right, answer in this specific question is actually letter C. Now, bakit C? Take note, 4 patients, lahat sila may gastric ulcer. So all of them is at risk of GI bleeding. Pero ang tinatanong po is sino yung highest risk? That's why the answer is letter C because of the age of the patient. Now, tingnan nyo, 70 years old, elderly. Now, tandaan natin, ang matatanda, nagkakaroon ng degeneration. Nagde-degenerate ang kanilang body. That's why yung mga matatanda, they have what? Thinner. Mas manipis po ang kanilang GI wall. Okay? Gastrointestinal wall. So, kung mas manipis, mas prone po sa effects ng ulceration, which is bleeding. So, the answer here is letter C. All right, next, number two. An experienced nurse explains to a novice nurse that the definitive method for diagnosing peptic ulcer disease is a urea blood test, B, upper GI endoscopy with biopsy, or C, barium contrast study, or D, string test. All right, and the specific answer or the answer in this specific question is actually letter B. Why? Tingnan nyo upper GI endoscopy. Okay? Now, endoscopy offers what? Direct visualization. So makikita nyo mismo sa loob ng tiyan kung merong lesion. Tama? Kung merong ulcer. Now, sometimes, ang cancer can be in the form of ulcer. So, paano natin malalaman na yung tinitignan natin through endoscopy is ulcer ba or cancer? Kaya po merong biopsy. That's the purpose. This is to what? To differentiate whether the lesion is cancer ba or a simple ulcer. Okay? So the answer here is letter B. Now, A is wrong and D is wrong because both of these tests is used to detect the presence of H. pylori. Again, ang test na to is to detect if may H. pylori ka. Now, see, barium contrast studies or we call this your upper GI series is wrong because pag sinabi natin barium or contrast series, this is actually indirect visualization. And kapag indirect visualization, that defeats the word definitive. Kasi tinatanong dito sa question na to, ano yung definitive diagnostic procedure? Yung magko-confirm na meron siyang ulcer. And barium study or barium contrast study cannot do that. Kasi nga indirect visualization siya. So ang sagot dito is letter B kasi siya lang po yung direct visualization. Alright, next. Number three, when discharging a client after Bilirot 2 surgery or gastrojejunostomy, which instruction is most effective in managing dumping syndrome? A, drink fluid with meals. B, consume a high carbohydrate, low protein diet. C, wait at least 5 hours between meal or lie down for 20 to 30 minutes after meal. Answer in this question is actually D. lie down after kumain. Bakit? When you lie down, you are preventing what? You're preventing, this will prevent what? Gravity. It will prevent gravity in pushing down further your food. Remember, ang dumping syndrome, kapatid, this is defined as the rapid emptying. Masyadong mabilis yung pagbaba ng food. Kasi nga nag-undergo siya ng Billroth 2 or gastrojejunostomy. This is a form of gastrectomy, kapatid. Tinatanggalan natin ng part ang stomach. So, ang stomach liliit. Kung ang stomach liliit, hindi niya masyado madadigest yung food. Pagbaba niya sa small intestine, the food is not yet fully digested. So, mabilis po bumababa yung pagkain. Now, gravity will further promote the pagbaba ng food. That's why when these people na nag-undergo ng Billroth 2 surgery should lie down after meal para hindi mahila ng gravity yung food further pababa. Okay? So yan po yung kaya dahilan, yan ang reason kung bakit ang sagot sa number 3 is letter D. Now, drink fluid with meals. Mali po yan. Remember, pag uminom ka po ng fluid, mag-i-slide yung food pababa. So dapat ang fluid ng mga taong may dumping syndrome should be what? In between meals. Ang fluid intake ng mga taong may dumping syndrome should be in between meals. Next, consume a high carbohydrate, low protein. Mali po yan. Kasi carbohydrate is easy to digest and low protein is longer to digest. So dapat ang patient, high protein dapat ang kanyang diet. Kasi that will what? That will slow down yung pagbaba ng food. Oh, the faster the food gets digested in the stomach, the faster it will fall down. So, hindi pwedeng high carbohydrate, low protein. Next, wait at least 5 hours. Again, this is not necessary. Hindi po ito necessary gawin kasi nga, that's not the problem here. The problem here is dumping or preventing or managing your dumping syndrome. So, answer here is letter D. Next. All right, number 4. An upper GI surgery, after an upper GI surgery, a nurse is assessing a client with the nasogastric tube to low intermittent suction. How should the nurse best assess bowel sound? A. Place the stethoscope to the left of the umbilicus. B. Turn off the nasogastric suction. C. Use the bell of the stethoscope. Or D. Switch the nasogastric suction to continuous mode. All right. The answer in this specific question is Boston. Turn off the suction. Remember, how do you check for bowel sound? Sound. You listen. Tama? Kapag bowel sound, listening. Ano ang ginagawa niyo dyan? Auscultation. Alright? So that's what, yan ang ginagawa natin to listen for the bowel sound. Now, when you're trying to auscultate for a vowel sound, remember, you always start sa inyong right lower quadrant. Dito ka unang mag-auscultate, second sa taas, and then third, and then fourth. So mali po na mag-start ka sa left umbilicus. Mali po yan. Now, para mas marinig mo ng maayos, clear, ang pandinig mo ng vowel sound, kailangan i-off mo yung suction kasi it will interfere with what? It will interfere with the hearing. So, again, turn off the oxygen. This is what? This will enable the nurse to hear better yung kanyang vowel sound. Use the bell. Mali po yan. Kasi ang bell, that is for low pitch. Ang vowel sound, high pitch. So dapat ang gamitin ng nurse is the diaphragm side of the stethoscope. So mali po yung C. Switch the nasogastric tube to continuous. Remember, the patient is connected to intermittent suction for a reason. So you cannot switch the patient from intermittent to continuous without consulting the physician. So eliminate letter D. Best answer here, Boston. All right, next, number 5. During a health history, which client statement should most concern the nurse as a potential symptom of esophageal cancer? A. I've been experiencing a lot of indigestion. B. When I eat meat, it feels stuck halfway down. C. I've been waking up at night with chest pain. Or D. I've been gaining weight despite no changes in my diet. All right. So answer here is, of course, Boston. When I eat meat, it feels stuck halfway down. Okay? Anong ini-indicate niyan? Na merong may something na nag-o-obstruct. So it is most likely growth, 'di ba? May tumubo, kaya nga hinahihirapang bumaba yung pagkain kasi may bumabara. Tama? So may growth. So between these four options, ang pinaka most likely related sa esophageal cancer is letter B. Look at A. I've been experiencing a lot of indigestion, or underline the word indigestion. Now, indigestion indicates problem either in the stomach or your intestine. Okay? Indigestion indicates problem in the stomach or intestine, not in your esophagus. So eliminate A. C. I've been waking up at night with chest pain. So this is most probably or more related to heartburn or GERD. So eliminate C. And D. I've been gaining weight despite no changes in my diet. So when you have cancer, dapat weight loss, hindi weight gain. Tama? So it should be weight loss. Or, di ba sabi natin, caution as unexplained or unexplained weight loss. Di ba? Or sudden weight loss, mga ganon. So, eliminate letter D. Best answer here is Boston. All right, next, number 6. A client with cirrhosis has an elevated serum ammonia level. As a priority, the nurse should A. Monitor the client's temperature every 4 hours. B. Observe for signs of increasing confusion. C. Measure the urine-specific gravity. Or D. Restrict client's oral fluid intake. Alright. Ang history ng patient is cirrhosis. Now remember, ang affected po dito is liver. Okay? Yung liver ninyo naging peklat, naging scar tissue ang liver nyo. So, one function of the liver is to eliminate or convert ammonia into what? Blood, urea, nitrogen. Okay? Function po ng liver ang i-convert ang ammonia sa BUN. Sir, saan po galing ang ammonia? Ang ammonia po ay galing sa inyong protein intake. Okay? So, galing po ang ammonia sa protein intake. Now, if the liver is non-functional, kasi nga may sclerosis, diba? Naging sclerotic tissue ang liver mo, hindi na siya nagpa-function ng tama. Tumadami ngayon ang ammonia sa katawan. Alright? Now, if the ammonia level increases, it begins to damage the brain. A condition that we call hepatic encephalopathy. Okay? We call this your hepatic encephalopathy. Now, remember, patay. Namamatay ang brain mo due to ammonia or elevated level of ammonia. Ammonia is toxic to the brain. Now, since brain ang affected, syempre, walang ibang sagot kundi increasing confusion. Kasi pag basta may mga brain damage, ang usually unang naapektuhan is the level of consciousness. So you need to observe, since tumataas ang ammonia, observe kung lumalala ba yung confusion ng patient. Okay, so that makes your other option wrong. Especially CND. Wala naman pong kinalaman ng ammonia sa specific gravity or oral fluid intake. At lalo nang walang kinalaman ng ammonia sa body temperature mo. So best answer is Boston. Next. Reviewing a client's medical record, the nurse finds a diagnosis of biliary colic. Which additional finding is most likely documented? A. Bloody diarrhea. B. Heartburn and regurgitation. C. Abdominal distension. Or D. Severe abdominal pain. Okay. First, let's talk about what do you mean by biliary colic? Biliary colic is an abdominal pain, kapatid. It's an abdominal pain. It is similar to your renal colic. Okay? Meron din na tinatawag na renal colic. Pain din po yan. Flank pain radiating to the inguinal area. So ang renal colic po, nakikita po yan sa inyong renal stone. So what happened when the stone blocks when the stone causes obstruction in the kidney, may pain na napoproduce. Ang tawag doon, renal colic. Same lang din. When a stone blocks either the cystic duct or a bile duct, yung nagkakaroon po ng hindi maka-flow ang bile. Okay? Hindi maka-flow ang bile kasi nga obstructed yung kanyang dadaanan. This causes eventually inflammation of your gallbladder. Mamaga po ang gallbladder at tawag doon cholecystitis. Now, pag namaga yung gallbladder, magkakaroon of course ng pain. And that pain is called biliary colic. So the answer here is letter C. Letter D. Severe abdominal pain. Wala pong biliary colic is not related to abdominal distension, wala din naman pong bloody diarrhea sa inyong cholecystitis, at lalong walang heartburn. Okay? Heartburn is a problem with the sphincter of the stomach between the stomach and the esophagus. So, malayo po yan. So, ang when we say biliary colic, it refers to the abdominal pain because namamaga po ang gallbladder ninyo. Okay? Next. When managing a client with acute cholecystitis, conservatively, the nurse anticipates a bland diet, B, administration of anticholinergic medication, C, place the client in a supine position with the head flat, or D, administering laxatives to clear the bowel. Okay, the answer in this question is actually Boston. Okay, why? Now remember, ang ginamit na word acute. Ibig sabihin, the patient is currently suffering from cholecystitis. So the patient is what? Symptomatic. Ang patient ay symptomatic. So if a patient is symptomatic, usually they are placed on NPO. Hindi po sila pinapakain kasi pag pinakain mo sila kapatid, lalo pong magko-contract ang gallbladder kasi function po niya yun eh. Di ba? Na ang function po ng gallbladder is to release bile for digestion. So kapag kumain ka kapatid, matitrigger yung digestion. So anong gagawin ng gallbladder? Mag-squeeze-squeeze siya para lumabas yung bile. Ang gallbladder mo nga ay namamaga. So when the gallbladder is stimulated to contract, lalo matitrigger yung pain. So ang best management is wag muna natin pakainin yung patient para hindi matrigger yung pain. So eliminate A. Okay, next C, placing the client in supine position. Now, mapapansin niyo sa hospital or kayo mismo, if you feel abdominal pain, di ba naka-fetal position ka? Nagkakaroon ka ng abdominal guarding. Tama? Kasi yun po yung comfortable position sa iyo. So, placing the patient in a supine position with head flat will not benefit the patient. Most probably, ang patient na ito, mas gusto niya po yung naka-fetal position po siya or head of bed elevated. Yan po yung mga appropriate position for these people. Next, administer laxative to clear the bowel. Again, this is not the main problem of the patient. The patient has an inflamed gallbladder. Walang benefit ang laxative ninyo for this specific situation. So the answer is letter B. Next. During an admission history, which statement by the client is most indicative of irritable bowel syndrome? A, I've been having a lot of bloody diarrhea. B, I've been vomiting for 2 days. C, I lost 10 pounds last month. Or D, I noticed mucus in my stool. Best answer is, of course, letter D. Presence of mucus in the stool is a diagnostic of IBS. Tandaan niya na, in adult, this is diagnostic of IBS. Okay? It helps, it aids with the diagnosis kasi wala pong test, wala pong laboratory test or imaging test that will confirm IBS. Okay? So the IBS is diagnosed based on symptom and based on ruling out other possible cause. So madadiagnose ka lang ng IBS pag na-rule out na lahat ng possible cause of your symptom. Doon ka lang po madadiagnose ng IBS. So, presence of mucus. Now, tingnan nyo ha, ang IBS mga kapatid, it affects your large intestine. Tandaan nyo na, most commonly, in most situation, okay, if not all, IBS affects large intestine. Now, your large intestine contains what you call goblet cells. Ang large intestine, may goblet cells yan. Ano function ng goblet cells? Ang function po ng goblet cells is for mucus production. Nagpro-produce po ng mucus ang goblet cell. Now, bakit coated? Bakit kailangan may mucus? Yung mucus po ay ginagawa para ma-coat ang large intestine para ma-prevent siya from the effects or irritation kung ano man yung dumadaan sa large intestine. So, kailangan ma-coat ang large intestine ng mucus for protection. Sinong gumagawa nun? Goblet cells. Now, what is I in IBS? I means what? Irritation. Nakalagay yung irritable. So, nagkakaroon ng irritation. So, every time there's an irritation, what will be the response of goblet cells? And that is to increase mucus production. Tuloy, yung tae mo, maraming mucus. That's why it's a diagnostic of irritable bowel syndrome. Now, I'm having bloody diarrhea is not a characteristic of IBS. This is more on what? That is more on chronic inflammatory bowel disease. I've been vomiting for 2 days. Again, this is not characteristic of IBS. And losing or weight loss is also not related or not characteristic of irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, so ang answer here is letter D. Next, a nurse reviews admission order for a client with suspected appendicitis. Which order should the nurse question? A. Apply heat to the abdomen to relieve pain. B. Withhold analgesic to avoid masking symptom. C. Keep the client NPO. Or D. Start lactated ringers IV at 125 ml per hour? The answer in this question is letter A. Question letter A because applying heat leads to what? Heat will lead to what? Vasodilation. And what will happen if meron nga siyang appendicitis? What if meron nga siyang appendicitis at nag-vasodilate? Anong blood flow pag dilated ang ugat? Increase, mataas. The more blood flow, the more risk of what? Rupture kung meron siyang inflamed appendix. Again, pag dinilate mo ang blood vessel, magra-rush ang blood flow sa appendix, mas lalo siyang magra-rupture. That's why you need to what? Question that order. Now, letter B, withhold analgesic. Do we withhold analgesic sa appendicitis? Now, let's what do you call this? Settle this. This is a common misconception among nursing students. Okay? Now, do we treat the pain in appendicitis? The answer is yes. Remember, pain or severe pain is a priority. Yan ang lagi sinasabi ng libro. Severe pain is always a priority. Do we manage the pain of appendicitis? Yes, after diagnosis. Take note of that. Nakalagay mismo kay Bruno yan. You can administer analgesic to appendicitis after confirming the diagnosis. Eh, ang patient, suspected appendicitis pa lang. Wala pang confirmation. So, hindi ka pwede magbigay ng anumang analgesic sa lahat ng undiagnosed abdominal pain. Tandaan yan. You cannot administer analgesic to any undiagnosed abdominal pain. Kasi mamamask yung symptom. Pag nawala yung pain, hindi na natin alam. Hindi pa nga natin nadadiagnose, nawala na yung pain. So hindi natin malalaman ano talaga yung nangyari. Bakit in pain yung patient kanina. So, hindi safe. Okay? Next, keep the client NPO. Okay? You do not question this because keeping the client NPO will decrease peristalsis. Tandaan ninyo, pag nagpakain kayo, lalong gagalaw ang intestine. Pag lalong gumalaw ang intestine, lalong magra-rupture ang appendicitis niya kung appendicitis ngayon. So, hindi pa natin alam eh. So, i-NPO muna natin ang patient. And another reason is, if ma-confirm nga na siya ay appendicitis, okay, possible po siya for surgery. That's why wag ka muna kayong magpakain. And that's the same reason kung bakit you do not question starting an IV fluid because like I said, ang patient is possible for surgery. Okay? So, I hope you learned something from this rationalization and we will be or I will be posting more practice exams so you can answer them and practice your test taking and apply your knowledge. So again, this is RN Mentor providing you reinforcement to your preparation for your either your school, your preparation for NLE or for NCLEX. Again, thank you and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, just search RN Mentor. And then also, or check the link in the caption. I will be placing it. Also, follow and subscribe to our Facebook page. Again, the link will also be posted in the caption. Thank you, and I hope I was able to help. Ciao.